Hello students, are we ready for the next problem? Okay, so let's read it. It says factor the expression. So yes, it's the same thing. We're gonna factor. The problem is 2x squared plus x minus 21. Okay, so what's the first thing that we do? Yes, if you said, Miss, write the standard form, we're gonna write the standard form right below the problem. Okay, so we're gonna say ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down A, B, and C. So let's see who's A from there. Yes, it is a 2. B is a, are you thinking? I know what you're saying. There's no number, miss. Okay, what do we put anytime that there's no number? You're right, we put a 1, right? So let's put a 1 in there. So B, it's a 1. And C is a, and I know what you're thinking, is that a 21 or is that a negative 21? If there is a minus 21, then it is a negative 21. Okay, so we're set to go. So what's the next thing that I'm going to do? Yes, let's do the x. So let me give you a couple of seconds for you guys to do that. Okay, so are we ready to continue? Okay, so let's see. You do remember that in the top section, we always multiply A times C. So 2 times negative 21, yes, it will give me a negative 42. On the opposite side, it will be my B, which we identify as a 1. On the lower side, it's going to be A's, right? So A is a 2. I'm going to put it right here and right there. So let's move on to the T. So in my T, I need to find the product for what? Yes, the product for negative 42. But I also need to find the sum. The sum of what? The sum of 1. Yes. So let's start. Sometimes it takes longer to find them, but I can assure you that if you write all the factors, okay, you should be able to see whether there's a way to find my binomials, right? So let's start with the first one. So I'm going to start with 1. And I'm going to ask you, 1 times who gives you a negative 42? Yes, 1 times 42, but you got to remember that one of them needs to be negative. So I always want to start with the first number being negative, and then I'll change it to the second number. So this gives me a, negative 42. So the next one will be positive 1 times negative 42. I still get a negative 42. Then I'm going to go on to 2, right? So 2 times who gives me negative 42? So I'm going to say negative 2 times, 21. And I get a negative 42, right? Then I'm going to multiply 2 times, I'm going to change now the 21 to a negative 21, which gives me a negative 42. And we're going to continue. What about 3? If you notice, I kind of follow up, kind of like a sequence, right? So I'm saying negative 3 times who? Yes, 14. And I do get a negative 42. And I'm going to do the same factors, but now the 14 becomes a negative. And this still gives me a negative 42. Okay, what about 4? No, right? Because it would be a decimal, but we want no decimals. What about 5? Nope. How about 6? So, yes, negative 6 times a positive 7 gives me a negative 42, right? And the last one would be a positive 6 times 8. Just change the signs, right? And I still get a negative 42. Now, how do I know that I'm done with my factors? If you notice 6 and 7, they're very close to each other. Not the negative 7, right? Just the 7. So that's how I know that I'm done with my factors. Let's go see if I can find the sum of 1. So I'm going to start with -1. So let's see, -1 plus 42. What do I get? Yes, I get a positive 41. I'm going to do the same thing, but now 42, it's actually negative, right? I don't know if you see the pattern, but there's still a 41, but now it's a negative 41. What about the next one? And I know what you're saying, Miss, I'm never going to get a 1. Well, it's possible that sometimes we don't find the 1, but that's another lesson, right? In this question, more than likely, we will find it. So -2 plus a positive 21, I do get a positive 19. Then I'm going to change the 21 to a negative 21. So I get now a negative 19. What about the next one? -3 plus 14. What do I get? Yes, I get 11. It's kind of getting close, right? But not there yet. Next one, it will be 3 plus -14. And that gives me a negative 11. Not there yet, right? What about the next one? -6 plus a 7. What do I get? Positive 1. And what do we say? Yes, we say bingo, right? Because those are the numbers that I was looking for. I wanted a product of -42, which I got, and I wanted a positive 1, which I got. So I'm going to write my factors on my x, right? So I'm going to write down a -6, and on the second one, I write a 7. And remember, you always got to ask yourself, is there any of those that I could simplify? So I hope that you remember that 7 and 2 cannot be simplified, but 6 and 2, yes, you're right. We can simplify -6 and -2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about dividing, right? So what number can divide both of them? Yes, 2. So what's -6 divided by 2? Yes, I do get a -3. And 2 divided by 2, I get a positive 1, right? So I'm going to highlight these numbers here. But before I highlight, let me place the x. The x goes where, ma'am? It goes on the a coefficients, right? So this carries my x, this carries my x. So now let's highlight. So once I highlight, now notice what I highlighted on the left side. I highlighted my simplified term, right? So you got to be careful with that. So now I'm going to rewrite my binomials. So my binomials are 1x minus 3, because remember, it's a -3, so it's a -3. Second one is 2x plus a 7, which I can rewrite as x minus 3 and 2x plus 7. So these are my what? Yes, these are my factors. Very good. So what I want to do next is I'm going to go to the left, right? And we're going to prove that when I multiply my factors, I actually get 2x squared plus x minus 21. So let's rewrite them. So I'm going to rewrite my factors, right? So I'm going to write x minus 3, and I'm going to write down 2x plus 7. Okay? So now we are going to do the box. So let me give you a couple of seconds for you guys to draw the box. Okay, so do you guys have the box ready? Okay, so let's do this. So in the length, right, we always do the first binomial, which in this case, my first term is x. The second term, yes, it is a -3. On the left side, my first term is a 2x. Second term is a positive 7, right? So let's multiply. 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 2x times -3, yes, I get a -6x. Then 7 times x gives me 7x. And finally, 7 times negative 3. Yes, I get a negative 21. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to rewrite my terms, the one from the box, right? Of course. I'm going to write down 2x squared minus 6x plus 7x minus 21. And what you're saying, Miss, that's not my final answer. No, it's not, because the next thing we need to do is, yes, you're right, combining like terms. So who can I combine? You're right, we're going to combine negative 6x and positive 7x, right? So 2x squared, it's by itself. I couldn't combine it with anything, so let's bring it down. The next is to add negative 6 and 7. So negative 6 plus 7, what do I get? 1x, right? Positive. Very good. And the minus 21 is my constant, which I do not combine with anything. I'm going to rewrite it because now I notice that this one is not needed, right? And I want you to check on my final answer, right? That's exactly the problem that was given to me. 2x squared plus x minus 21. So we got the right factors.